Welcome to Soul Sync, a sacred space for women of color navigating the in-between. I'm Pamela J. Thomas, and I created this podcast to hold space for your next chapter. Let's take a breath and begin.
Welcome to Soul Sync, where we pause long enough to hear the truth behind the noise. I'm your host, Pam Thomas. Today's episode invites us into a conversation about navigating life's transitions. And I'm so honored to be joined by a good friend of mine, Sueanne Pacheco. She's a speaker, storyteller, and a guide. Before we dive in, let's just take a breath together. Inhale and exhale. This is our opportunity to let something go and welcome something in. Sueanne, sorry, I interrupted your moment. I apologize. Sueanne,
Okay.
I am
Yes.
so thrilled to have you here today. We have been in conversation for a couple of years, and you are one of these amazing women that I have met over the last few years who are doing all sorts of exciting things. And this is one of the reasons I'm doing the podcast, because I've met all these amazing women and men, but the women have just inspired me in ways I hadn't even imagined. And so tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and what called you to the work you're doing now.
A little bit on myself. So, as you had said earlier, I am a writer. This has been a lifelong passion of mine as a writer. I also am in the process of developing and to launch a podcast called How It Unfolds.
Mm.
And I'm also a I've also have another business called New Start Staging and Organizing. And that also came from a passion of loving art and design as well. And so this has come about because of my years in the corporate world, often being in interactive situations with marketing, design, and working with artists, and actually allowing myself to develop my skills as an artist as well, because I do consider myself an artist at heart.
Mm.
And what drew me to what I'm doing now is partly spiritual. It's partly my life calling, my life purpose. And also with a lot of the people that I've interacted throughout my life, I have connected with them in a way that most of us don't always connect on a surface level. It usually goes deeper. I'm the kind of person that I've had conversations with complete strangers and haven't really and they feel safe enough to open up and talk about things that are going on in their life. Those has been my experiences.
I'm
And I used to
giggling
stop and
because
think,
this is exactly our experience when we met each other, right? We were talking
yeah,
about the deepest stuff 10 minutes into a conversation, which never happens, but I'm also the same type of person. So I'm
yeah.
giggling
So
because yeah, I know it's true about you.
yeah. So I used to think, okay, so there's something greater going on here. And I
Mm.
started to pay closer attention. And then as I got into my senior years within the corporate world, I was getting feedback from colleagues and saying to me, I usually can't talk about these things. And for some reason, I feel safe to discuss these things with you. So that was being reinforced a lot. And I thought, you know what? It's time for me to start writing, to start speaking about what it is that we are all going through, but we just can't put
Mm.
words to it.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why I decided to start writing. And I have just completed a book series that I am going to start preparing to get published. My target audience is young adult, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just young adults.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to work with the young adults to help them see that all the crazy things that they're going through, all the transitions and changes they're going through, they're not going insane. These are, you're being nudged, but with all the distractions in our world, you're not necessarily paying attention to those nudges. At least I didn't. I know for
Mm.
sure. Now, looking back at all the experiences that I had.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So very powerful. I love that, the nudging. I always talk about the cosmic 2x4 because a lot of us, it takes us quite a few minutes and quite a few nudges to even start. I mean, I talk about my seminary experience all the time, but people have been asking me for a good decade, when are you going to seminary, before I even would contemplate it. Because I was like, I am not going back to school to do another thing. So this is the journey, I think we all walk on as human beings walking this earth, is that we do have a larger purpose that often gets, uh, what do you call it? It's kind of veiled by all
Mhm.
of the things of the world, and it's not like it's one thing, it's an unfolding of ourselves as we were designed to be here for. That's convoluted, but that's what I'm saying. But nevertheless, it's just so interesting to see how people finally get the cosmic 2x4 and are like stepping in and leaning into what's being shared with them along the way. So I want to kind of transition here into talking about the big thing that we all have to figure out, how to navigate those transitions in life. And we can label them any way we want to, but there are age transitions, there are stages of life transitions, there's all sorts of transitions we have to navigate, and really the only thing we can depend on is change, truth be told. And so we're always navigating transitions. uh, I think that it's the most interesting thing to hear from folks, how they struggled to get into a place where they could lean into and actually surrender to the transition, because there's an aspect of which I every time I've transitioned, had especially the big ones, I have to surrender everything I think I know to allow
Mm.
the new to unfold in my life. And so, what does navigating life's transitions mean to you, both personally and professionally? And they can be different for us, but there's some similar themes.
Mm. What it means is that I haven't been paying attention. So I say that because, you know, as a child, you're just absorbing everything you're being taught. So by the time you get into high school, you start to develop, which I would say are chapters if we want to talk about it that way, but we start to compartmentalize the changes that we're going through. And at the root of everything, which we don't know at that time, is we're hiding a lot of our fears. And
Oh, wait a minute.
when
Hold. Repeat that, please. That is like gold. That's a gold nugget right there.
so when we start to compartmentalize in our teenage years, what we're actually hiding is our fears.
Mm,
Because our external world teaches us that we have to fit in. We have to act like everybody else. We have to dress like everybody else. We have to like the same things as everybody else. And so, as that starts to happen, every time we deny something within ourselves that is our true self, there's a little bit of us that we can feel fall away. And it goes back into that part that we've compartmentalized
mhm.
to the point where some of us, not all of us, we forget about that part of us. And so that part of us we put aside and we become what others are expecting of us. But as you're going through those teenage years, you don't realize that's what you're actually doing to yourself.
That's right.
And you're getting distracted with all the different little things that attract you with the mobile phones and the computers and the jobs and all these sort of things. These distractions are really hampering you from actually going within to understand who you really are. And so, at different stages, as we move from high school to college, university, or into the workforce, if you choose not to go to college or university just yet, and into our adult lives, we're absorbing all these different experiences, and the experiences that we have when we're transitioning in phases, sometimes it hits us in such a way that we don't even realize how those experiences are impacting us, because we've been trained to blame as
Yeah.
opposed to look at ourselves and say,
Yes.
what is this really trying to show me? Because we don't have the tools to ask those questions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I think for myself, based on the experiences that I've had, you find a way of compensating for it, or sometimes you overcompensate for it, and you don't realize the actual emotional damage that you're causing for yourself. And
Yeah.
as a result, when you hit certain phases or transitions in your life, you're either overreacting, you're pushing back, you're getting defensive, you're fighting for yourself, but you don't know why you're fighting for yourself, and you're getting triggered by certain words or things. But those triggers are from experiences that you put into your compartmentalized book
Mhm.
that you've shelved and you're hiding, because what it's telling you is you are not dealing with the fears that you have been building up over those years to compensate for the pain or the confusion that you feel within.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Powerful words. And just to add to that last comment, which is, and very frequently, we have also absorbed our lineage's fears. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're not even consciously aware of the dynamic that has unfolded in our history, in our family
Mm-hmm.
history, that's
Mm-hmm.
affecting us today. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much to unpack as a child of this moment,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't even understand the history of slavery, the history of um, war, the history, all of these things that people have been through. And so until you take a moment to get to know yourself, I think in the roundtable we had on the 5th of June with another group of amazing women, uh, at one point, we were talking about the fact, or in one of the interviews I did recently, I'm not sure which one, but I was talking about the fact that we tend, as women, we still tend to get absorbed in other people's lives as adults. It's very difficult because of the socialization for women for us to actually center ourselves. And so by the time we get to kind of that middle age that we claim it as middle age, it is the middle of most people's lifespan. So I only view it that way. I don't have any other labels around it. It's just the middle of how long most people live. But by the time we get there, we're so busy taking care of what's going on around us. We've never taken the time to listen within and find out what it is we want. And as you said it exactly the way I said it too, which is that we tend to blame. That's the first thing we've been taught to do, is blame. So you blame your children, blame your family, blame your job. And I'm not saying that there isn't. I can't say that everything's perfect externally, but you can't really get clear until you take the moment, take the pause, that sacred pause that we have to carve it out, but we all have the capacity to make the space for that pause so that we
Mm-hmm.
can listen within and
Mm-hmm.
get back to who we are. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a rediscovering of who we are. And you put it really well in the early part of the interview. What are some of the myths that you had to release in order to kind of get yourself to the place where you started to see what you just described, which is this piece where we take ourselves so far away from who we are and what we want that we have to bring ourselves back to it.
Mm. The biggest one was, I am not enough.
Ah,
Excuse me.
yes, yes, yes.
And the reason why is because I'm the daughter of immigrants, first generation. Uh, and um, what I now understand is society kept reinforcing that even though you're going to school and you're getting an education, your job career is only within this box because of your dynamic as a Black woman. part of it was also cultural.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the socialization of what you were saying before, lineage, the expectations of women within the family.
Mm-hmm.
As the older daughter, even though I'm the middle child, the expectation is the older daughter is supposed to take care of the family.
Yeah, me too.
And part of it also is the interactions with friends and colleagues growing up, the microaggressions that I would hear, those slight little slurs and slants often were spoken in meeting rooms.
Yeah.
And if you weren't paying attention, or if you were on the receiving end, you don't really understand how that cuts through to a person who is an immigrant. Because a lot of those slights and microaggressions were made with either intention or ignorance. If it was said with intention, it was to make me feel like you're not smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
If it was said in ignorance, it's because they had no clue what an immigrant experience was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I often had to check people saying, well, do you know somebody of that culture? And they'd be like, no. Then how can you make a blanket statement when you have not had interaction with those individual or
Yeah.
persons?
Yeah.
And that would really stop them and make them think. And so that was the big one for me. And it really weighed on me in terms of what I pursued when I got into the job market. It really did. Um, it didn't slow down my growth, but it made me self doubt the things that I wanted to go after.
Yeah.
And so I think what I want your listeners to understand is that when you're hearing I am not enough in indirect language, because people aren't coming out and saying to you, oh,
No.
you're not enough. It's
So
those
true.
indirect
So true.
statements that
Yeah.
play on your mind, and you don't understand why you feel the way that you feel. And so it really knocks your self confidence. And so for your listeners, what I want to encourage you to really look at is take an inventory of all those comments that have been projected onto you and start to parse them out and see how it had impacted your choices, because that's part of transition as well. Because say
Yes.
for example you have this dream that you want to start a business. Well, oftentimes someone will say, well, you don't have the capital. Do you even know how to raise capital for a business? Or that's such a crazy idea. Why would you even want to think about doing something like that? And so I would encourage you to really sit down, understand what the impact was on you for your self confidence, on your dream, because some people have killed other people's dreams
Not
because
not
of
not just some, a lot. Yes,
their own insecurities.
that's right.
And so yeah, and think about when you wanted to make those moves in your life. Did you make those moves? And what was it doing to your self confidence over time?
Yeah.
And when you understand all those statements that were said about you, then you can now take that time to really assess, is it really true? And when you can see that it was never really true, then you can step out of those negative self talk.
Yeah.
And because I'm guilty of that, I've done it. And
Yeah.
then
We
you
all are.
realize that whatever people have said is not me.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's actually generally a reflection of their belief system. It doesn't have very much to do with you. I'm not saying there's nothing, but most of it has to do with their belief system. And yeah, yeah. Um, wow, that was powerful also. So one of the things that I share with people that I work with, my clients, and I actually work with people who, I have a real passion for helping people get clearer so that they can make choices that are empowered. And so, not everybody pays me, but it's okay. I have a passion for it. But I do want to talk. But one of the things I teach folks is rituals can actually help anchor us back into our bodies, back into the truth of who we are. What are some of the rituals that you bring into your life that help you reconnect with that inner voice?
I meditate
Mhm.
and I breathe.
Yeah, breath.
Um, Breath is the key.
Hmm.
It's grounding. It helps you to ground. And it is a way of reconnecting with yourself as well. And I don't just mean from the physical as well. It allows you to take that time to really clear your mind, to really observe what are those thoughts that are going through your mind. And so if you're going through a really difficult period in your life, um, because we all handle change in different ways. And usually it's when we're going through major changes, that's when the breathing comes into play. And it's something that you have to do consistently. It's not like
Yes.
you do it today and then a month later. So you have to teach yourself to get into a consistent rhythm with everything that's going on with yourself on a daily basis.
Hmm.
So, however, you fit that in into your day,
Hmm.
just make it a point of doing it. And I recommend that you start with 5 minutes a day
Hmm.
because everybody can sit for 10, 20 minutes, depending on what's going on in their day. But even if you like just go to your car and sit for 5 minutes and breathe for that 5 minutes, that's enough for you to clear your mind and to say, okay, I'm ready to get back into it.
Yeah.
So grounding is really, really important that I've learned over the years. And and sometimes you think, wow, why didn't I start doing this sooner?
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt
And
about it.
I've also introduced Unlearning, tapping. And I am practicing ways of, understanding what those points on the body and how it relates to how it impacts the way that I think and so forth.
Hmm.
So those are the things that I'm starting to implement now to get grounded, to be centered. And one of the benefits from doing that is you will start to see just how calm you become.
Yeah,
And when you're calm, you can assess things with greater clarity
that's right.
and you have a perspective that allows you to not go into reaction.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's that fight or flight mode. You have to shut that. Most of us function in fight or flight mode the bulk of our day, except for
Mm,
maybe at your sleep time, because the way the culture is designed is not designed to activate your parasympathetic system. It's designed to activate the other, and we're all overstimulated pretty much all the time.
yes.
And so, yeah, just these small rituals. Share with us just quickly what does your daily rhythm look like? And that doesn't mean it's every day that you do exactly the same thing, but what is that kind of pattern? Just so people can hear. I like for people to hear different ways people do it because it's all different for you. Got to make it unique to you.
So for me, it's now daily for me because it took
Yep.
some time.
And what
But
does a day look? What does one like? What does
so
your pattern look like during a day?
pattern is when I wake up, I do my breathing, I do my meditation before anything else. And then depending on the weather, because I live here in Canada, if the day looks really good, I'm doing a walk,
Hmm.
and I'll come back from the walk with a clear mind, and then it's just a matter of um, getting started, getting onto the computer, doing my work, doing my meetings, collaborating, connecting with individuals, and also working on, what are those ideas I want to do for myself as an author on my book ideas and the editing and stuff like that. Reaching out to, because of my home staging business, networking with realtors and so forth. And then at the end of the day, it is again going back to breathing, doing the meditation, and I make a point of no TV after 8 p.m. or so, depending on uh, my energy levels. But I'm pretty much being very consistent now without TV, no TV in the bedroom, nothing like that. And that allows me to decompress and calm down and not feel overstimulated. And any pressures that I've had during the day, it allows me to say, okay, today was today. We'll deal with what we need to deal with tomorrow. One of the things I'm also looking at is, as I do these, is to get to a place of just being present with myself.
Yeah.
So that is something now that I'm being very aware of as well.
Awesome. So now we've come to the moment that I call real talk. And I'm just going to ask you one quick fire question, no pressure, but it's always interesting to see what's present for people at this time. So, what's a question that you're currently living into?
Living into or leaning into?
Either one.
Either one.
You can take either direction.
The question that I'm leaning into, living into is what am I doing? Everything that I'm doing, is it guiding me to my purpose?
Mm,
So all of my actions now are very intentional. I'm always asking, does this align for me? Is this the best thing for me? And if my gut is telling me something otherwise, then I have to ask myself, okay, why is my gut telling me otherwise? Everything I do now is with intention.
yeah.
Um, I have, I'm moving into my spiritual calling. And so I need to ensure when I ask myself that question, I'm not contradicting myself, my integrity, my consciousness,
Yeah.
and that everyone that I deal with understands that I'm coming from a place of honesty and truth. Not everyone is prepared to hear honesty and truth, as I'm learning.
Sorry, I'm
And
laughing.
so,
Yes, yes, that's all I can say about that. Uh, when you walk the path of honesty and truth, it is very interesting how you're perceived in the world because it's kind of countercultural, and how people react. But nevertheless, you have to kind of navigate that, um, if that's your call. And I have the same one. And so, directness is frequently not appreciated for the gift that it is. Let me say it that way.
yeah, I got into an interesting conversation with a dear family friend. And my friend said, this place is hell. And I looked at this and I said, okay, well, what is your definition of hell? And it tripped him up because he was trying to find words. And so, long story short, during that, interaction, I helped him to see that it's all about perspective. So
Mm,
if you're walking down the street and you've got a negative perspective, then everything that you see or interpret is going to be negative. And if you're viewing things from a positive perspective, everything you see and interact with, whether it's negative or bad or good, you
mm,
will find a way to see the good in it.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
we haven't finished our little debate, but it's going to be, I can tell it's going to be an ongoing one.
Yes.
So, but the purpose is not to convert him in his thinking, it's to help him to be aware of what he's perceiving as he moves through his different stages in life.
Yeah. 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 I appreciate that story a lot. So tell us, as we draw to a close, tell us how the listeners can support your work and stay connected.
So you can visit my website, which is SueannPacheco.com. That's my author website. And you can visit my Instagram as well, which is also Sueanne Pacheco. And, and also because I am going to be launching my podcast, if you are interested in being a podcast guest, just email me at Sueanne Pacheco, which is
I'll have it all in the show notes. And yeah, I'll get it all
SueannePacheco.com.
right. I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, tell them the email address again. I interrupted you because I wanted you don't have to spell it. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but tell them the email address because I interrupted you. Sorry.
Sure. The email is me at SueannePacheco.com.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Um, Look, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom and your presence with the community. I know this conversation is going to echo in somebody's heart and spirit long after they finish listening. I want to invite oh, go ahead.
I just want to say for your listeners, the important thing is to understand, because this is not something that you can do in one day. It is something that requires you to be patient with yourself
Mm,
and understand that as you transition from the different places that you're at in your life, yes, there will be difficult days, but in the end, you're going to find yourself feeling greater peace.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just going to say a quick word to our listeners, and then we are going to draw it to a close. If today's episode spoke to you, I invite you to reflect on this question. What's one soul aligned next step that I can take today? And as always, subscribe, share, and share this with someone standing at their own threshold. Join us again for the next Soul Synced moment. See you soon.
If this episode stirred something in your soul, if you felt seen, softened, or simply supported, I'd be so grateful if you'd take a moment to leave a review. Your words help other women, especially those at a sacred threshold, find this space. It only takes a minute, but your review becomes part of the ripple. Thank you for listening. Thank you for syncing with your soul. What if retirement wasn't a finish line, but a sacred beginning? Women Don't Retire is a call to reimagine your next chapter with purpose, power, and joy. I share real stories, deep truths, and practical wisdom for women ready to lead, even after leaving the title behind. Available now on Kindle and Amazon. See the show notes for a link to get your copy today. Before we close today, I want to leave you with this. Change often arrives not with clarity, but with questions. And fear? Fear is simply the voice that wants to keep us safe, even when safe no longer serves our becoming. So if you're standing at the edge of something familiar, if you're being asked to release what no longer fits, if the ground beneath you is shifting and you don't know yet where it will lead, take heart. You don't have to have it all figured out. You only need to stay open to the next step, to your own inner wisdom, and to the possibility that what's unfolding may be even more soul-aligned than you planned. This is your invitation to unlearn fear and trust the quiet strength rising within you. Until next time, may you realign, reflect, and rise in rhythm with your soul. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. Until next time, stay soft, stay grounded, and stay in sync with your soul. Subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone at their own threshold.